There was panic on the streets of Ashkelon city in southern Israel as shelling struck from Gaza. The Israeli military said that around 300 rocket and mortar bombs were launched from Gaza. At least 10 people were injured in the attack. One of them is critically wounded in a strike on a bus. This new violence threatens to derail efforts to end months of unrest. In retaliation to a barrage of rocket fire towards the territory from Gaza, Israeli airstrikes in the Gaza Strip killed 3 Palestinians. Israel's military said it had so far struck more than 20 militant sites in response to some 80 launches from the Hamas-run territory. The military says its missile defenses had intercepted a number of the rockets. Hamas, meanwhile, claimed responsibility for the rocket fire on behalf of all Palestinian groups in Gaza, saying it was in revenge for a deadly Israeli military operation late Sunday. Italy held a summit in the Sicilian city of Palermo to discuss the ongoing Libyan conflict. Several Libyan rivals, including key leader Commander Khalifa Haftar, was welcomed by the Italian Prime Minister. Libyan rivals are meeting for the first time in more than 5 months at the Palermo summit. The summit comes a week after the United Nations abandoned plans to hold an election next month. Italy hopes the conference will resurrect UN efforts to save elections in Libya. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says that Canadian intelligence has listened to Turkish recordings of what happened to Jamal Khashoggi, the Saudi journalist killed in Istanbul. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan said over the weekend that audio recordings of the killing had been given to the US, French, German and British governments. Trudeau specified that Canadian agents had heard the Turkish recordings, although he himself had not. British Foreign Minister Jeremy Hunt said he believes that there will be rapid progress in bringing to justice the people responsible for last month's murder of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. He also said that he expects to hear something about those legal proceedings quite shortly. His statement comes after meeting the leaders of Saudi Arabia and the UAE in a trip to both countries' capitals. British Prime Minister Theresa May said that both UK and European Union are approached the end game in negotiations for departure from the bloc. May, who was speaking at the Guildhall in London's financial district, described the negotiations as immensely difficult and said there would not be an agreement at any cost. She said that there are still considerable unresolved issues with the European Union over Brexit. 7 school children lost their lives in Peru when a bus carrying the group plunged into a ravine. They were on their way to play the finals of a local soccer league. According to local media, the accident occurred on a highway outside of the town of Chachapoyas in Peru's Amazon jungle. At least another 11 children were injured in the accident, 2 of whom are in serious condition. Supporters of one of the DR Congo's main opposition party leader rejected the appointment of Martin Fayulu as the joint opposition presidential candidate. A tire was set on fire outside the headquarters of the UDPS party as supporters held a protest in support of the 55-year-old politician. They had voted to represent them in the December presidential elections. On Sunday, Congo's opposition coalition picked businessman and lawmaker Fayulu as the opposition presidential candidate of a platform named La Muca in Geneva, Switzerland. The nomination had backing from the leaders of 7 opposition parties, including the MLC's Jean-Pierre Bemba and Moise Katumbi of Assembly, who cannot enter DRC without risking arrest. 5 migrants, including 3 children, died after a boat carrying 15 people sank off the coast of western Turkey. 5 others were missing as the authorities ordered a search. The Coast Guard said it had plucked 3 people from the sea with the help of local fishing boats after the vessel with the refugees aboard went down off the coast of the western province of Izmir. 1 Iranian and 14 Afghan nationals were on the boat before it sank. Teachers gathered on the streets of Paris to protest against job cuts in state and private schools across France. All national education unions called strikes in primary, middle and high schools to protest the budget reforms set to be debated in the parliament this week. The 2019 budget will see a total of 3,600 job cuts, while 1,800 primary school jobs are expected to be created. According to the Education Ministry, close to 10% of staff nationwide was on strike on Monday, whereas unions put out figures of around 50%. Facebook will allow French regulators to embed inside the company to examine how it combats online hate speech. This is the first time the tech giant has opened its doors in such a way. From January, Macron's administration will be sending a small team of senior civil servants to the company for 6 months. This team will verify Facebook's goodwill and determine whether its checks on racist, sexist or hate-fueled speech could be improved further. The trial project is an example of what Macron has called smart regulation. Macron wants to extend his to the other tech leaders as well, such as Google, Apple and Amazon. In Southern California, the Woolsey fire has burned more than 91,000 acres and was 20% contained. The 370 structures destroyed as well. The fire had forced authorities to issue evacuation orders for 250,000 people in Ventura and Los Angeles counties. Many of those allowed to return were left without power or cell phone service, even if their homes were spared by the flames. On the other hand, the raging blaze in Northern California, known as the Camp Fire, the state's most destructive on record, had left at least 228 people missing. A group of LGBT individuals traveling as part of the migrant caravan made it to within just miles of the US border and faced hostility from local residents upon their arrival. Local residents voiced their opposition to the group's presence in their neighborhood and argued with the migrants. The LGBT migrants plan to seek asylum in the US, but US President Donald Trump has effectively suspended the granting of asylum to migrants who cross illegally. The Vatican has cancelled US bishops' vote on sex abuse reform measures. At the Vatican's request, US Catholic bishops delay votes addressing sex abuse scandals against this clergy. At the U.S. Bishops' annual fall meeting, Vatican asked them not to vote on protocols for accountability measures on clergy sex abuse. The surprise move delays much anticipated votes to improve new standards of conduct for bishops and the establishment of an outside commission to review violations of the code. A group of youngsters in India's northern hill town of Dehradun concluded a 2-month-long campaign where they collected plastic waste and returned them to the companies that use them for packaging, termed Ghar Wapasi, which means homecoming. The campaign was started by a student activist group. Through the initiative, the youngsters carried out regular clean-up drives in different parts of Dehradun and tourist hotspots, Mussoorie and Rishikesh, where they collected packaged plastic waste. Former First Lady Michelle Obama visited her high school. Obama met with students at the Whitney M. Young Magnet School of Chicago, where she graduated in 1981. The visit comes after a day before her long-awaited book tour was set to begin. Michelle Obama's new book called Becoming will go on sale on Tuesday. The book chronicles Michelle's life growing up on Chicago's South Side, her years inside the White House, as a mother of 2 and as the nation's first African-American First Lady. Hundreds of pizza chefs are working hard for their dough in Buenos Aires. They are looking to break the Guinness World Record for the most pizzas made in 12 hours. They're looking to make 11,000 pizzas in total, or 1,500 pizzas per hour, in the Argentine capital's downtown. The current record holder is Italy with 10,065 pizzas. Organizers have set aside 3,000 kilos of flour and 1,100 liters of tomato sauce for the massive event.